Are you looking to level up your author business?
Are you pounding your head against a wall, wondering what your next step should be? Then join me, Daniel Wilcox.
And me, Sacha Black, as we haul ass each week in a bid to level up.
Level up!
Come along for the ride as we delve deep into the business of writing,
Craft,
entrepreneurship,
and every level of the author journey. This is the Next Level Author Podcast.
Hello Achievers, and welcome to episode number 70 of the Next Level Authors Podcast, a podcast where we hold each other to account and track our step-by-step progress as we level up our author businesses. My name is Daniel Wilcox, and here with me every single week is...
a very tired Sacha.
Now
Black.
Tell us.
Sacha Black. Hang on, darling, we are on a landmark episode.
We are, it's landmark episode
landmark.
70.
70?
70.
That is big.
70 weeks.
I can't
It's over a year.
We've done this. Yeah,
We've got to, at
70
some
weeks.
point, look at the whole argument of episode 100 versus episode 104.
So this is interesting because when it was episode 52 versus episode 50, I felt very strongly for episode 52. But when it comes to episode 100 versus 104, it feels like episode 100 should be the episode because that is trip figures, whereas we're not celebrating. Well, it depends. Do you want to celebrate 2 years or do you want to celebrate trip figures? Because they're
Celebrate
not the same.
every episode, so it doesn't really matter to me.
You're just happy that we're friends. Yeah, I don't know, because I was thinking about this for my own podcast, because my own podcast, episode 100, is coming up like literally in August. So I'm like, do I celebrate 100? Do I celebrate 104? Because I celebrated 52.
I think 100. And I think like
100.
the big one being 100 and then like a mini celebration for like 2 years.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do for that yet. I have been asking patrons and things, but yeah. Anyway, that's...
I think I should just host the show for episode 100. Like, you should take a rest and I'll be the author for an episode.
God, what
Wow,
would I be
you're really
letting
worried,
myself
'cause
in for?
I feel like I'm somewhat rebellious. Like, at least a teaspoon full of rebellion. Maybe not a full tablespoon, but a teaspoon. I've done some rebellious things in my past. Smushed banana into me. I shared that story on the Rebel.
You had people smush. Oh, you did. That is true. I did
pour
like
coke
that.
down my back, and I'm all like, "Fuck you guys." For people who haven't listened to that episode, you have to listen to that episode now to find out what happened.
Yeah.
There you go. So how's your week been?
Well, I was just about to ask you the same
My
thing.
episode.
Okay. Yeah, no, but I think you took over this last time as well, which was my episode.
Mm-hmm.
I launched a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did. So I think it's absolutely hilarious because my goal was to get to today and get through today before I crashed. And I woke up yesterday on launch morning and crashed like so hard that I literally could not human in any way, shape or form. Every so often I reach these brick walls and my body is just like, fuck you. And yeah, so I like the lights were on. Nobody was fucking home. The doors were left open. Nobody was home. And I laid on the floor for about 4 straight hours without moving, without like communicating, without doing anything. It was literally like I was in a coma. And I had a very large coffee and it still did not, just made no difference whatsoever. However, I am somewhat more rested this morning, so I can finish up work today before taking some time off, which will be fun. And yeah, basically I did it. I got to the end and I launched, and I'm very glad to be going back to writing. So how was your week?
Well, before we do that, I'm just going to say I'm very, very proud of you. Because let's take a second to appreciate the fact that this book was written during a pandemic, during a time in which circumstances were all out of the window and you had a million other things to attend to as well. And yet you still managed to smash out an A-grade quality book. So big congratulations. And do a hell of a launch as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's, I mean, so we should probably talk about that because this is a lesson I think that I've taken away, and leveling up is always about learning your lessons. No launch is the same. None of the launches are the same. And I really expected some consistency between pre-order behavior and launch behavior, and that was not the case. And so that is a lesson to listeners that you can't necessarily expect similar behavior. So just to explain, in the pros pre-order, it was, I would say, I don't know if I know the exact numbers. I would say it was probably about 55 or 60% ebook pre-orders, and the rest were paperback. This time it's flipped. So the vast majority were paperback pre-orders, and I didn't even beat my old pre-order score. I missed out by one.
We're gonna need to have words again after this freaking episode.
No. No, I'm fine with it. I've moved on. But I think it's important to talk about this. So I missed the ebook pre-order totals by one, but I absolutely ballooned the paperback pre-orders. So reader behavior has changed. If you look at reader behavior from a year ago, because prose was just at the beginning of the pandemic, it was much more aligned to reader behavior prior to the pandemic, which was everybody was moving ebook, audiobook, and that way. Whereas a year on, I've seen a complete change, and I'm still seeing paperback numbers coming through, like now this morning, over ebook pre-orders. So I don't know what that is, but that is definitely something to look at. Like I've spoken to a couple of other friends who are also seeing an increase in paperback orders at the moment. But what the lesson is that sorry. Yeah. And so, I have increased my pre-orders overall. So this launch was up 52.6% on the previous launch in terms of pre-order numbers, which is amazing. I'm very, very proud of myself, and very grateful to everybody who's ordered a copy as well, let me just add, and very grateful to everybody who has helped me, of which there are many, and I won't name them because I'm too tired and I'll forget somebody. But what is interesting, and the lesson is not to expect the same outcome, even if you do similar things and do more. Like all of the majority of those pre-orders, all of the ebook pre-orders came in right at the start of the campaign, and the paperback pre-orders continued and came in, a lot of them, towards the end of the campaign. So this is just completely different. And you know me, being competitive, I like to compare those stats.
Yep.
So yeah, just like, I know that not everybody is competitive, but if you do have stats on your pre-orders, it's useful to look at those behaviors to see what you can draw out from it.
Well, yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to be competitive to get benefit from looking at those stats, because you're right, like every launch is going to be slightly different. But one thing that I take to each launch is that I will take what I did last time as sort of the model, look at the things that worked and look at what didn't, strip away the things that didn't work, look more at honing down the things that did work. And then with every launch, I'll try something new. And then just the more launches you have, the more you can build on that, adapt it. And like you say, it's never going to be the same, because obviously, you know, it's a different time of the year. It depends on what you've been doing with your own marketing, your own branding leading up to that. And then, like you say, buyer behavior and things globally can change what happens with sales and stuff. So I think it's still good to look at what you've done in the past, to use that as a baseline, but then take that forward no matter what you do. Like, even if you're not competitive, even if you're like on your second book, use the stats from the first book, because that is your baseline, and each time try and create a new baseline that's more informed than the last. Yeah, my week's been good.
I think your week has been absolutely astounding. Wait, was it this week that the thing happened?
Technically, the thing. So not the thing, the other thing.
Not the thing you keep mentioning here.
So I mentioned that last Friday's, when we recorded last time, that I put in an offer for a house, and it's been accepted. So it's been taken off the market. I don't know. It's a big relief, because, you know, in beginning of December, I basically made the decision to move further away from my son to save money so I could buy a proper house and go back and have like a more stable life with him. And and it has been genuinely not one of the hardest thing I've had to do. And I was saying this to you and some other people as well. Like, I'm very good at like being strong when I have to be, but then when I got the call and basically got accepted through, I got very, very emotional because it was suddenly like that weight that I didn't realize I was carrying so heavily was lifted. And what's even better is like he was there with me in that moment. So we had like, it was like a proper like little movie moment, like cuddle and everything else. So yeah, the house is in place. I've just got to, go through and do all of the adult stuff associated with a house. But it's just, I didn't realize how much it was weighing everything down. Like my fitness, like my
your
work.
face is lighter though. Like
I'll
since
just
you
be the
had
light.
no, like this, what's interesting is you actually carry stress on your face, and you carry it on your face, and you look lighter and brighter and happier, and you can
I slept
see
this week.
Yeah, you can see the relief is coming, like it comes through on your face. You have a very expressive face. It's that bloody eyebrow of yours. It tries to compete with my eyebrow. Maybe we need like an eyebrow off.
Maybe.
Yeah, for listeners, we are like wiggling our eyebrows.
Animatedly. Yeah, no, weirdly, like the eyebrow thing's something that people have been telling me for years. Like, you speak through your eyes and your eyebrows, and I'm like, oh, do I?
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah, I apparently have very animated eyes.
You do.
But yeah, so a lot of that weight has lifted. And what's been really nice is that last week I just managed to get ahead on my ghostwriting stuff. So I've got kiddo for 2 weeks, means I've not had to worry about any ghostwriting, which has meant that in any time, because I still have to do certain things. I've still got like regular fixtures in the like calls, obviously things like this, that he's fine for an hour while I just do those. And I was saying to you just before we started recording, like in the last 7 days, I feel like I've progressed 4 months with my own work. And part of that, I'm guessing, is, the weight coming off from the house. Part of it is obviously having the brain space to jump in and look at my projects. I just feel good this week because, I'm just very, very happy that I'm not having to like take loads of time out to work when I have him, because that's one of the things about self-employed life, especially with me being a single dad, is that the weeks that I do have him depends entirely on like what work I've got set up, and I'm really having to be mindful of accommodating my work and working it around when I do have him, which is always more difficult when you live far away and sometimes the schedules can be a bit murky. So it's been a good week. I feel lighter.
You look lighter.
Oh, thanks. What's something that you've enjoyed this week?
My launch? No, wait, Scandal. Okay, obviously I've enjoyed the launch, so I'm not going to do that. That was last week. I said that last week, didn't I?
You did BeccaCon this week.
No.
We recorded last Friday. Wasn't BeccaCon over the weekend?
Well, I'd already... okay.
You can do Scandal. Do your thing.
Well, BeccaCon... Yeah, okay. So BeccaCon was mind-blowing. It was also exhausting because I was doing 8-hour days and then doing 8-hour conference days. So I was doing like 16-hour days of brain work, and that right before a launch probably isn't the best thing to do in future. And I think I have got some really tangible things to go away with, like over this weekend and going into my break. I'm going to go back and rewatch some of the sessions. And I'm going to go through some of the materials that we've got and make a development plan, I suppose, or things that I want to do anyway, based off of it. So yeah, it was phenomenal. And I have moved on a little way. So maybe I should say this instead. Oh, I'm going to sneeze.
Oh, I didn't have to mute it.
Yeah, no, I didn't want
to set it up and not deliver the punchline.
I would have blown the speakers. So, okay, I've changed my mind. I am really enjoying Scandal, but the thing that I enjoyed more than anything this week, well, apart from the launch, was I had a micro coaching session with Nikki. And this whole fiction thing, not being able to like publish fiction in 3 years, even though I've written some fiction and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
She basically turned around to me and was like, I'm going to talk to your competition now. And she was like, you've got two choices. You can either write and publish fiction or you can quit. And I was like, oh. And like nobody's ever really spoken to me like that. And she just mentioned like the quit word a few times, which is a real fire poker for competitive people, because we don't quit until we've won.
Write that down.
And
Good.
use that as ammo against me. No, but it's like a C-bomb. You can't just whip it out too frequently. It has to be dropped at just the right moment. Because given a choice between, you know, writing or quitting, we all know what I'm going to do. So, and given that it's 3 years now, I really feel like, yeah. So anyway, when I come back from my break, that I'm focusing on the fiction. But yeah, so, and the other thing that she said to me, because, you know, I was kind of afraid of like the judgment, when I don't really care with the nonfiction because I know I'm going to be judged, and that's fine. But also I have experience to know that I create books that are at least somewhat helpful to the vast majority of people. So, but I don't have that prior experience to know that with the fiction, because I haven't done it enough. I haven't published enough. Anyway, and so what she said to me was, yes, you are going to be judged. Yes, you are going to be judged. And I was like, oh yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know it, and nobody had said it to me. And what happened is my self-assurance kicked in, and I remembered that I don't give a fuck because I'm gonna do it anyway. And that just unblocked a whole load of stuff. I still feel like I need to maybe journal a bit or work through a bit. I might repeat the question with Ellie in my micro coaching next month, but I don't know, like I already feel like I already dug out my editing notes this week, you know, and I've dug out Victor to reread that. And then I found some files and things. So I feel like that's the thing that I've enjoyed because it's moved me on.
Nice.
What about you? What did you enjoy this week?
I enjoyed,
I know what you enjoyed this week.
I enjoyed, basically, I think I mentioned on this podcast at the beginning of this year, I set up to do an 8-week nutrition course with my sister, who's getting a qualification to become a nutritionist. And she's much further along. And I've gained weight over the last like month or so. And I'm really I find that I'm really good at maintaining weight, but I'm really crap at like losing it and keeping it down. So I have basically signed up with her again for another 8 weeks. And we've got a very sort of like strict regimented system for the 8 weeks. I'm just determined to, you know, follow it through to shed the pounds I want to shed.
Otherwise, you're going to be beardy.
Yeah, so
tell everyone about that.
So I've said this to a few friends, but I'm making the public declaration that until I have hit my target, which is to lose 5 centimeters of my waist, I am not shaving my face. I'm just gonna leave these ginger straggly mop to grow, see what happens, and it's not going until I've hit that goal. And so what I was going to do actually on the NLA groups is put a thing and say that if anyone wants to join me on a mini adventure, whether that's weight loss or something specific, I know obviously we already have our level up challenge, but if anyone wants to go very, very granular on a specific thing with me and pledge, then we can do that together, hold each other accountable. And either I'm going to end up like Robinson Crusoe, or I'll learn that I can't actually grow a proper beard, and that's also fine.
I am going to jump on, but I'm going to be very careful about what I put, because my goal is to lose inches, but I think I want to focus on the fitness, like putting a fitness habit in more than what I'm doing now. Yeah, so well, it's really hard because I used to do taekwondo twice a week, and that was very helpful because I only had to do one more thing, and the second taekwondo session was in my diary, and it was just the thing that we did. But because they're only doing one session because they haven't got the training hall back for the second day, I'm only getting to go once a week, and so trying to then back? I don't
whole thing. Okay.
I don't know what's going on. And the other because there's taekwondo every single night of the week. My club is so big that they have so many different places, but they're all fucking like half an hour away, and I don't want to drive an hour to do an hour to have to drive, do you know what I mean? And then have a shower, because it's like the whole evening's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm definitely going to join, but I'm just going to have a little think about what I do, because I want to do more weights-based stuff. I've got my spin bike to do cardio, but I want to strip fat, and the only way I do that is by lifting weights, and I don't have a set of weights, and I don't want to join a gym, so I'm gonna have to think about how I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Well, my start at the minute, so I've been very, very sedentary, doing lots of work stuff. So my average step count each day has been about 3,000 to 4,000 words, like tops.
Oh.
Yeah. So over the last few days, I've already started doubling that, just to pick that up, and I'm going to be going on bigger walks and things.
See, I'm lucky that I do the school run, because I walk the school run. I hit about 8,000 steps a day every day, because
I walk the fridge run.
Yeah,
like that's good. That's easy, like at least 50 steps.
Yeah. Oh, see, you're winning.
Do that 20 times. I've got my 1,000.
Yeah.
So please don't comment if that's wrong maths. But yeah, so I'll put a post up. One thing that we'll also do, that we keep saying we'll do, that we need to do, is put up the date of our drink off.
Are we doing it live?
Yeah, we're doing it live.
Oh shit. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So we do need to put that up. Why don't I do that? Where are we putting that? Are we putting that in Patreon and in...
Yeah, so we'll do, I think we said, well, might be something, we'll talk it off air. Let's make a note of that. Little right next to the note that says, tell Sacha to quit things more often.
You can, I'm telling you, please don't pull that out too often, because it loses its value. Power.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. In Patreon news, welcome back to Brett Jackson, and hello to Victoria LK Williams. Thank you for joining our merry band of misfits. If you want to get involved in all of our Patreon stuff, including our monthly live Q&As and also early access to episodes, then head on over to patreon.com/next level authors. I feel like I had something else to put on that. No, ignore that. I've got this is such like a bad way to introduce it. I've got the part where we brag about our books. Sacha, tell us about 8 Steps to Side Characters for people who don't know about it yet.
Okay, well, the book will help you to create characters that your readers will fall in love with. If you've ever struggled to manage a ballooning cast, I can help you manage your cast with a new structure and method of looking at side characters. There is advice and tips on how to kill your characters, when it's appropriate, when you shouldn't, and what the consequences should be. There's stuff on how to use side characters to create conflict, how to create or which characters need subplots and story arcs and all of that good stuff. So yes, if you are also, it's funny as fuck, so you should probably just go and read it just for the shits and giggles and dick jokes.
There's a lot of dick jokes.
There's a lot of dick jokes this time. I really went like OTT on the dick jokes.
Awesome. And I'm going to play. Oh, before I say that, actually, as you were saying about a ballooning cast of side characters, I'm going to just subtly nod at someone who should listen to this podcast, or should be listening to this podcast. They know who they are. It's one of my clients who literally yesterday mentioned about how many side characters they've added in the last day or so. So if you've not yet dived into your copy, you know who you are, then make sure you do that. It's very, very useful. And I'm going to give a nod out to my Wilcox Writers group. So in the last month, we've had a bunch of people join into the group. For people who don't know, I run basically live sprint sessions every Tuesday afternoon, every Tuesday lunchtime, every Thursday lunchtime, and every Tuesday and Thursday evening. Included in that is like a Slack community in which everyone gets together and helps answer questions and just has a bit of fun. We've got things like live Q&As where we've had Sacha in there for an hour for an exclusive Q&A. We've had people like Jeff Adams. We've had Luke Condor. And tomorrow, actually, we're going to have our monthly social, which will be lots and lots of fun, which I feel like you might have something to say about that. Today, it's Friday. I keep thinking it's Thursday. Yeah. But yeah, tonight.
I can't say what I was going to say. I'm going to text you what I was going to say, because I will get in trouble if I say what I was going to say.
Okay. Fine. So yeah, if people want to find out more about that, you can it's a month free trial, so you can literally jump in and just give it a go for a month and see if it suits you. If it doesn't, no hard feelings. If it does, carry on. But everything about that is at danielwilcox.com/community. Level ups. Kate Swed says probably the main level up is that my brand new space opera book is /plan serial is outlined and underway. I've also been slowly learning about ads, but I'm doing much better with Amazon than with Facebook, so I've paused those for now. But pretty productive month overall. Booyah.
Kids.
Ads.
Ads. Working on ads is brutal. It's not. I don't think it comes naturally for the majority of writers. So yeah.
And it's a lot of. It's the thing with ads for me is that it's trial and error, but it's trial and error with your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's fine if there's no money involved, but it's like, I need to know that this £10 I could potentially just spunk away into the void. And that's fine. Anyhow, just a nod to our level up challenge. So over in the Facebook group, we've done our Q3 level up challenge for anyone who wants to put themselves forward, declare what they want to have done by the 30th of September. And those who achieve the thing get a chance to win a 30-minute call with myself and Sacha. Someone else will get a hardback copy of my self-publishing blueprint, and someone else will get a copy of Sacha's 10 Steps to Hero workbook. And just a nod to the new people that have pledged to this week. That's Claire, Cassie, Shane, Lynn, Victoria, and Jackie. And for people who fail this level up challenge, you will have to juggle 3 eggs for a minimum of 10 throws and catches. What I really want to see, I don't want to just see like an attempt. So like, oh, I failed, I'm going to juggle 3 eggs. I want to see people really, really try to at least get like 3 or 4 good catches before it smashes on their carpet. I'm so determined for someone to do it in their living room with a carpet.
No, nobody's going to do it in their living room. Literally nobody is going to do it in their living room. You keep living that dream, darling.
Q4, you have to down a pint of milk.
I'm allergic to milk. I can't do that.
We'll do oat milk or almond milk or some milk.
Why would you want us to do that? That's
Because it gives
weird.
you a tummy ache, I've heard, not experienced. Comments from last week, episode 69. How do you know when to outsource?
Okay, Harry Brooks says, great episode. Sacha's fit of laughter was the best ever, especially considering the week you guys had. I listened on audio, then went to YouTube for just that bit. Wait, is this? No, I think this is the wrong set of comments on here. How do you build? What was our last? That was episode 68. This is the wrong friggin' episode.
Hey!
Oh, I tried so hard.
And got so
hard. Okay, sorry. Okay, right. Let me just go back to episode 69.
What I will say on that is that what's quite upsetting is that your mic setup makes it so that when you belt your laugh, it cuts the audio so it doesn't overload.
I know.
So people watching on YouTube can see the full mirth, but for people on the podcast, you just hear the tail off.
Nothing. Yeah, I know, it really annoys me. I don't know how we'll have to, I don't know. We'll have to try and, I don't know. Yeah. I do have, I mean, when it goes. Like, it's like a fucking Hiroshima laugh. Yeah, it's a firework. When I go and laugh, it is a firework. I don't know if you've ever seen me proper lose my shit though, because there's like, anyway, we could talk about this offline.
I think I have
There are different shades of my laugh. So Cassie M. Newell says, freaking so timely, great episode. Okay, Lynn Aubrey says, years ago, a good friend was getting crap from an acquaintance about hiring out work on his house. Fuck that, he declared. Just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I want to do it. Mm-hmm. My time is precious to me and limited, so I have to be choosy on where I spend it. I think that is such a good mindset to have. Money, barter, favors. Worth it to not have to build that thing my specialist knows how to do faster and better than me. That's been my guide with outsourcing and delegating. I could not agree more. Mm-hmm. Ida says, I think it's more about recognizing what you can't do versus what you can learn. I like I can't do covers that I'm not even going to try because my time is better spent elsewhere, like writing. And then hiring a pro to take care of that. Even a cheap pre-made cover made by a pro would be better than mine. Then there are things you don't know how, but could learn because maybe it's more cost effective or faster. For example, I'm sure many of us had never formatted books, but we brought Vellum or Atticus and learned instead of hiring a formatter every time we need to make a change.
Mhm.
For me, it's a mix. What can I learn to do that won't take too much time? What do I know I don't want to do, like covers? Yeah, I think I agree completely.
Yeah.
Arabelle says, "Oh, you pair, episode 69. I always thought of outsourcing as getting a VA and paying someone to do what you don't have time for, and worried that I'd never be able to afford it or not for a long time. But I really like Dan's point. I'll be outsourcing my editing and cover design. I'll see if I can format myself and plan to go wide myself rather than use a platform like D2D, because I think that extra 10% ish might make a difference. It will. It might not make a difference in year one, but after 10 years, 10% is an awful lot of money."
Yeah.
Edwin says, "I learnt to outsource editing when all 4 of the indie pub houses I'd submitted to came back with the same message about not being there yet. This also triggered my if money is leaving my pocket, I'm self-publishing decision. Likewise, I knew I had to outsource covers the moment I thought about how to do it myself. I guess any other form of outsourcing will come when my back's against the wall and I need something done I cannot do myself in a sustainable manner. Too bad I wasn't independently wealthy and could outsource all of this marketing black magic. I can see the management of books across all platforms becoming exponentially more tedious, with each release making a VA an asset for that process alone."
Yes.
I have to say, I completely agree.
Mhm.
I am definitely getting to the point where I may have to let somebody into my KDB dashboard because, or like my different dashboards, because I have this table because I'm in the process of updating all of the back matter, and obviously you've changed the covers for me, so I have to update all of those. Bloody Ingram Sparks changed the code, so I can only do 5 paperbacks a month. It's very annoying.
Oh.
It's going to take me like 3 or 4 months to get through. Yeah, it's a big thing. Loads of people have been scamming. But anyway, so I've created this table. It's like 136 uploads for my books. To update every book across all of the platforms is 136 uploads. Like, that's a fucking joke. It is. It's so much time. I don't have fucking time for 136 uploads. I mean, I have to make the time, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, and if you think about it, by the end of this year, I'll have another box set and then 2 more books and potentially another box set on top of that. So another 4 things, which is gonna, like, it will go like, no, I'm done. This is it. Yeah.
But I think the point of outsourcing for like cover designers, editors, it's again the mindset thing of what we choose to normalize as part of the process. So the fact that people are always told you have to outsource for, well, people don't use that word, you have to get a cover designer, but people do design themselves, but then that takes time. And I just find that really, really interesting. And I think we spoke ages ago in one of the episodes about the fact that with a self-published business, you are accountant, you are strategizer, you are marketer, you are creator, you are all these different things. If you were in a different, like if you're in a company that was more corporate, you'd have a different person for each of those roles because they could hyper focus on that. And I think as your business scales, you have to start considering that as a thing and knowing that you can still strategize and obviously point people in the right direction. But I would love to at some point bring someone on just to be like, you're my marketing guy, you're going to like reach out to this, you're going to manage this, you're going to do this, and go ahead. And when I say guy, I don't mean guy or girl, it's just what I say for person.
I've
and
been
also,
very sorry, go ahead, darling. Sorry.
I was just going to say the last thing as well was with the fact that you can do something doesn't mean you have to do something. Like I had a real conversation. I had a real conversation with my dad recently because I'm going to be getting a husky. And I've said that I'm already looking into like training schools and things. And my dad went, well, why don't you train it yourself? And I was like, well, I haven't trained a husky before. And number one, this was incorrect in my opinion, but he was like, yeah, but it's a dog and all dogs are the same. And I went, yeah, it's a husky. But also number two, I could learn how to train a husky, but I don't know how. So by me paying someone to show me, number one, I'm then learning this skill while someone else is doing it properly. And it means that I have a better trained dog in the long run. So it saves me time and energy by just doing the thing. What are you going to say? What are you going to add to that?
I don't know now. It's gone. Oh, just about the risk, I think. And it's a bit of one of those leaps of faith that you have to take. And it does pay off. I've been surprised, but it does pay off. I wish I'd done it sooner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, question time.
Uh-oh.
So we've both launched books this year. And also I've been speaking to a few author friends. We both had a friend, Helen, launch a book recently, Layer of Bones. We've got friends that are launching books very, very, very soon. And one of the things that have come up in quite a few different conversations that I thought would be very, very timely now is, how do you deal with the post-launch crash? And to set the scene for people that haven't yet published, there is a real ramp up to launch and you feel it. And when it comes to selling your book, it becomes a bit all consuming, because like Sacha's done recently, you focus on the numbers, you try and you're like, what have I not yet done? What things should I be doing? You have all these different threads that you're trying to pull together to make sure that when your book launches, because inarguably the launch of your book is the optimum time to do everything you can possible for that book. Like, you can do promos and things later to like help it rank and do other stuff, but the launch is a massive part of making sure that book is successful. And so once the book is done and you're on the next day, there inevitably comes a moment where you suddenly just your shoulders soften, you just breathe out, and there's, for me anyway, there's a fog of like, what should I do now?
So before we go into that, I think we have to address that arc, right? Because like you just mentioned that there is that ramp up, and I totally agree, there is a ramp up. But when it's your first book, when you've spent, let's say you've spent 18 months in the indie community learning, and it's taking you 18 months to get your book to, because I think that's
like
probably...
I know where you're going to go with this. Okay.
Do you? Oh, okay. Well,
Maybe.
This is interesting. Well, so this is what I want to talk about, because, and I will address the crash in terms of me now, but also I just want to, because I think the crash has changed for me over the years. So that first launch is horrific. Right? You put everything into it. And we all have these expectations. And I think it is augmented by what you see on social media, which is why I don't really, what I try not to do is talk about the actual numbers. Like, so I talked about percentage, but I try not to tell people the numbers, because I think that so many of us, yes. For me, comparisonitis is generative and it creates action. For others, it is oppressive. It is a negative. It creates a terrible mindset. And there are some groups like 20 books to 50K, which are phenomenal. If you can handle comparisonitis, you will learn so fucking much from that group. The problem with that group, in my humble opinion, is that they are very generous, which is good for people like me in sharing numbers, but that's not so good for a lot of other people. And so you see these people who have studied the market, studied the industry, who naturally have the ability to write fast and publish fast, and also are privileged enough that they have a wad of cash that they can afford to throw at marketing and specifically ads, pardon me. And let's say they are also good at analytics and understanding advertising. And so what happens is you have these first-time authors that come in and smash their genre, and they're making 10 grand, 15 grand out the gate. But they are lightning strikes. But the problem is, because their posts are so informative and so, full of information, they get 500 likes on them and everybody gets to see them, and they're shared and they're talked about. And so people start to think that this is normal. So I'm going to tell you my numbers for my first ever launch, because I think this is going to give you a bit of realism. Right? Okay, so this is what I wanted to do. Okay, yes.
I wasn't planning on doing this, but I am so...
No,
I'm with you. This needs to happen.
Right? This needs to happen. So I'm going to tell you.
That's why my computer is screaming.
Yeah, exactly. No, and when you were talking, this is exactly what I was doing. I was going into my KDP dash and I was opening my historical numbers. So I'm not going to tell you what I earned this time round. It was a really good amount of money and it pays my mortgage, right? I pay my mortgage from my writing. My first ever launch, guys, I sold 86 copies. That is a lot. Compared to a lot of first-time authors, 86 copies is a lot. And you're probably going to be horrified by that because a lot of people build up these expectations that they can sell hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of copies out the gate. You can't. I'm sorry, but you can't. Unless you are excellent at advertising, unless you are able to write fast and publish fast, unless you know your genre and your market and your comparison authors inside out, unless you're fucking good at marketing, unless you've already built up an audience prior to launching, you're not going to sell many copies. You're probably not even going to sell more than 50 copies. Like if you sell more than 100 copies, you are doing incredibly well. Most like people say that, you know, indie books don't sell more than, or any books actually, including traditional, don't sell more than 250 copies in their lifetime. But I don't think people really hear that or understand it. Okay. My first month, I sold 86 copies and I was fucking going some, because we all know that I go some on every single thing that I do, right? And so it's taken me years to get to the point where I'm selling a lot, you know, enough that I can pay for my life and my lifestyle and do this full time. But yeah, so like the crash after that was significantly worse than the crash I'm experiencing now. Okay. So this is the point to go back to the crashes, because I also naively built up that expectation in my mind that I would sell X many copies or whatever, you know, and I genuinely thought, you know, maybe I'll be able to sell 200 copies in my first month. Bitch, get real. Like fucking what? No. And so you are going to make a loss. You will make a loss in your first month, couple of months. And if you don't, I salute you, sir or ma'am, because the chances are you are going to make a loss until you have at least 3 to 5 books. Mm-hmm. That is a lot of money to sink into a business before you're making good money. However, the crash, I did not take that launch very well. I was delighted in some respects that I'd managed to sell 86 copies. And
which book was this?
Villains.
There you go.
Yeah. And so the crash was, I think, twofold. It was exhaustion because I'd put everything into it, and it was also the mental. It was the competition in me going, oh shit, this is going to be harder than I thought it was going to be. And then it was also that dig deep, because even though I only sold 86 copies, back then I was like, holy shit, I've still sold 86 copies. And that is amazing, because I had heard from lots of other writers who'd managed
only
to sell
5 of those can
copies.
Be family.
No, but that's it, because, you know, and I was still comparing back then, but, you know, and you could see those people who were selling £500,000 a year or whatever. But, you know, I had gone out of my way to sort of talk to other people about how many copies they sold. And I knew that 86 copies was good. And so that crash came back out. The other side was me going, I sold 86 fucking copies. If I can sell 86 copies on a launch, what can I do next time? Or how else can I sell more copies? And so I came back out. It was a baseline. Exactly that. And if nothing else, it showed you that you can go from selling, you know, 50 copies, 30 copies the first month to full-time author. It is possible. You can do it. Now, on the crash, it is an exhaustion crash and a mental crash. And I go into like zombie mode where I'm just not able to cope with anything or do anything or communicate. I become like very nonverbal. But once I've rested, I come back out. Now, there is this emptiness, I think, that I experience a bit of a hole, because it does, like you said earlier, become all consuming, and you don't see an awful lot, and like I become a bit of a shit friend and a bit of a shit wife and a bit of a shit everything, because
I just
No, I do. No, completely. No, I do. Genuinely, I do feel like that's what I do. And the minute I come back out of that, because it's the focus that we both have high focus. And so I just tunnel vision and I'm driving towards that launch day. And unfortunately, there is a bit of a cliff off the end because it's done. It's done. It's over. Yes, you can still market. And, so I'm going to stop talking and give you some tangible things. Number one, make sure your marketing plan extends beyond your launch day. So make sure your marketing plan lasts for at least 3 months after your launch date. That is the first thing I would say, because then you will still have tasks and actions that you need to do, which will keep you from tipping too far off the cliff. Number two, make sure you do put some rest days in because you will be exhausted. Number three, make sure you know what your next project is going to be before launch day. Because if you have that in there, you already have the hook into the next thing that you need to do.
And if you don't, because I've experienced this, you can just slip into time stretching, and before you know it, 3 months have passed and you've done nothing. I've done that, especially early on, a lot.
So it's because the other thing I was going to say, not only to know what your next project is, but if you kind of started it just a little bit even before your launch, that really helps to keep the momentum going. So I think those would be my 3 tips for preventing or healing the cliff. And just expect some emptiness. Expect launch day itself to be quite anticlimactic, I would say.
I was going to say.
Because like you build up to this thing and then it's all digital and it's completely out of your hands.
Now, a good way to conquer that, because obviously I did a Facebook Live the evening of, which definitely helps like cap off that day and make it seem celebratory. And you did one last night, and I know that my friend Julie Heiner, she does like live events where she had like a band playing and she had people join her on Zoom, and it was a whole big celebration. So if you can find a way to create that real sort of physical celebration with people, that's infinitely helpful rather than just watching the numbers on your screen and then just going to bed.
Yeah, I agree completely. How about you, Boo? How do you deal with the crash?
So I'll share my first numbers as well. And I hadn't considered bringing up the fact that obviously it changes each time, but like I say, the minute you started talking, I was like, I know where this is going to go, because we've both spoken about this recently. And it is to accept that the indie life, the self-publishing life, is a long-term game, and you do see infinite numbers or infinite comments in groups like 20 books to 50k, which, like you say, is a fantastic resource, but I think you have to approach it with a certain level of caution depending on who you are. And what a lot of people often neglect to take into account, even though it's said in the post, is that the people that are showing these big numbers, they do have 10-15 books behind them, and what they've done is they've learned how to advertise. Or you do have lightning strikes where that first book does hit a vein and it does skyrocket, and that's what you capitalize, and that's what's seen in that group. But for 95% of people, it is that slow long game. So in the first month of the launch of Sins of Smoke, I moved 106 copies. How many of those were paid? 3. Because I did a free promotion and moved 103 copies, and I got myself my bestseller tag. That's the truth. Like it went into, like, I knew none of this at the time. It went into a niche category. It moved enough to hit number 1. It did well by that standard, by a first book in that time with a free thing. The algorithms and stuff have changed somewhat now, but like 106 copies in that month. And I kept going forward. And I've said this again and again, that the thing that I attribute my success to the most is just sticking with it and doing the thing. Like, I love the process of writing. I love creating stuff. I love working with other authors. And so that's the ecosystem that I've grown. And it's taken me 6 years to get to where I am. Like that first 2 years, at least, I don't think I would have made more than about 200-300 quid in total. And that was with a novella and a novel.
Yeah, I think I made, I don't know. I can probably check I don't know. I know I made a loss anyway. I made a loss for 2 years, and then I rapidly started making it. After 2 years, it sort of really flipped on its head and it ballooned a bit. Yeah. And then it plateaued, and then it ballooned, and then it plateaued, and then it ballooned. And
it's just a constant game of just zig and zagging. And I don't want that to be disheartening for people, because I am working with someone at the minute, and we've got a launch plan in place that is going to bring more than those numbers, but that involves experience, that involves strategy, and that involves a marketing budget. Because if you're, I mean, I put pretty much nothing towards that first launch. Like, it was just me throwing it out on social media and hooking in a few different groups and things and trying to push it. But like, there are things that you can do, and like I say, that comes from experience or working with people who have that kind of experience to help you. But that first launch is going to be tough. And I think, so I don't know that I had a crash then, because, and I've said this often, that first book I wrote for me, I had zero expectations. I didn't even know indie communities at that point. I knew nothing about keyboards, nothing about any Facebook groups. I hadn't met Hawk and Cleaver yet. That book was literally written in my own little mind lab because I wanted a book with my name on the shelf. So the fact that it then moved that was just a nice surprise to me. And then I grew it from there. But I think recently, obviously, I launched the self-publishing blueprint in June. Oh my God, was that only 2 months ago? Not even that yet.
Not even that yet.
I think similar to you, I tend to now make a point of having a drink or doing something that is for me, even if it's just, you know, I'm a big fan of pizza, so I'll just like make sure I have a pizza that night and reward myself somewhat for the thing that I've done. The next day, I'll try to, as much as I can, put in a rest in which I can just let go and, you know, reward myself for the thing that I've done. But for me, the real reward, and this is a realization I came to recently, because I have so many ideas and so many things I want to get to, the real reward for me and the way that I deal with the post-launch crash is just to get started on the next thing, because it's something that I've been waiting so long to do. And we all get into that part of when we're towards the end of a book and we're like, I wish I could be writing anything else right now.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly have that fresh slate again and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Let's get started. Like, yummy, yummy, yummy.
Yeah, I am so full of that today. Like, I'm like, all of the things, what the world is my oyster again. Like,
And I think you should definitely be careful of overloading and just keep driving. But I think I listened to people too much to the point of, I think last year after one of my launches, I took a few days off and I was like, I just want to do the thing. And I'm unhappy that I'm not doing the thing. And so I do. I treat myself by at least getting started on the next project, or like you say, if you can start it just before the launch finishes, well, before the launch, that's very, very helpful because that just keeps that momentum. But yeah, I reward myself with the next thing, and I, you know, record what happened in that launch, ready to take that forward for next time, and just try and take any lessons that I have learned from that launch, write them down and have them for moving forward. And that's all this process is. It's just block stacking. It's just starting in one place, getting your baseline, doing it again, but better, getting your baseline, doing it better next time, and just building that. And I think we both I think we're probably, I'm careful how I'm going to say this, like we're probably more of the example of what to expect if you follow the indie path, rather than a lot of friends and people that we know that like, I've done amazing things, but there are lightning crashes with like, if you go into those groups and things, you do see people that just take off and it's amazing. But for the majority of people.
Yeah, I am not a lightning strike. I have never sold tens of thousands of anything in a single month. I have not done that. What I've done is very slowly, very strategically build up month on month on month, and it's been slow and it's been grueling, but slowly but surely, you know, it has gone up and up and up and up. And in that up and up and up, there have been troughs. You know, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, like, but every time that plateau is a little bit higher. I am not a lightning strike. I have never been a lightning strike. You never say never. Maybe I will be at some point, but that is not what I am. You know? And yeah, it's fucking hoping, exactly. But yeah, I am a very normal. Well, I'm not normal, but you know, like financially, I'm a very normal. The expectation, yeah, just what you just said completely. Like I think I am very standard in terms of that sort of
Process.
small increase, plateau, small increase, plateau.
Consistency, improvement.
Yeah. I am not one of these 20 books to 50Kers who smash out 100 grand in 5 seconds flat. I'm not. But I have earned some very good money.
I want to be.
I know. Seriously, I want to be too.
Yeah.
But I will be eventually. I will get there. I am determined to get there.
Number one, this episode went in a totally different direction to what I thought it would, which I love. Number two, really, really love that angle that came from, and the fact that you're like arguably one of your biggest selling books. That's where it started.
Yeah. And that book still sells every single day. It is still making me money every single day. And hopefully it's about to make me a whole bunch more money because I've almost got that bloody fucking audiobook over the line. So I'm very excited to see what happens. So we'll see. Hopefully that will encourage me and spur me on to do the next one. That and the fiction are the two things that I'm doing when I come back.
I think this is one of my favorite episodes we've had.
Really?
Yeah, very much enjoyed this one.
Because it's mindset related, and also we were super honest.
Yeah, it's just transparent.
Yeah.
I almost want to change the title so that it's like really, really clickbaity, so people get the value from it. But we can't do that.
You could.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
How are we leveling up our business this week?
I am going to rest. And I am going to... Why are you laughing at
We didn't
me?
do our confessional.
Oh, shit.
So before we do this week, last week, I mean, you did it. Sacha will launch a book.
Okay, yeah, cool.
How did I miss that? I will set When Winter Comes for pre-order, which I have done, though I still need to like work the blurb and things. And also just an extra touch on that, I finished the outline for the thing. So now I'm trickling down into the next steps of that, which is very exciting.
That is exciting.
So how are we leveling up business this week?
Okay, yeah. I'm going to rest and try and avoid the computer as much as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to make a start on reviewing the BeccaCon.
Nice.
And a plan. And that plan is both going to be BeccaCon self-development, and it's going to be like I'm going to merge the self-development with the business stuff. So for example, like one of the things that I know I need to do is create like I have a word tracker, but I need a slightly different tracker. I'm still going to use my word tracker because I like having it digitally, but I'm going to create some other trackers that are physical because there's something that I still have with that physicality of marking. So like I'm trying to like, but the trackers will match whatever it is that I want to do in my business. So I'm going to change what I'm saying. I'm going to rest and I'm going to think, and I want to intentionally think.
Okay.
So that's why I'm making it an action, because I want to intentionally think about the plans and the development. That is my two things. Yeah.
I feel like it's really vague because I can't yet publicly say it, but I'm going to action the next phase of outlining the thing, which I can tell you specifically what that is off air. So it's accountable. But yeah, phase two thinking.
Yes, you need to tell me so I know that you've done the
100%,
thing.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Yep. And I'll do another, because I did 10,000 words of edits on When Winter Comes this week, so I'm going to do another 10.
Okay.
Cool. So the question...
What did I just say? Think and rest.
Think and rest. It was a simple one.
Yeah.
So a question this week: how do you deal with a post-launch crash? Or if you haven't yet launched a book, what measures are you putting in place to deal with your post-launch crash? Along those lines. Okay, and thank you everyone for joining. And as always, we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hungry for more?
If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more of my angelic accent and Dan's dulcet tones on our other podcasts.
For more of me, check out the Great Writers Share podcast.
For more of me, listen to the Rebel Author podcast. We'll be back next week holding each other to account as Dan
And Sacha
become
Next level.
authors.
I have nothing in the back. Can we just
Like a deflated
let's
whoopee
just
cushion.
stop for a second. Right, listen. Sasha has like 4 layers of concealer on and we can still see her bags. Okay, right? I have nothing in the tank. Like nada. Not a fucking zip of anything in the tank. Apart from like 2 layers of bags, one here and one here. Like that's how
But
bad
you
the
still show up
situation is.
and you still put the work in because that's who the fuck you are.
Yes.
Could not have said that any more convincingly.